Hello. All right. So, I have finished my memo. I finished all my classes, and now I've got a week and a half until my first final. So let me kind of catch you up. How's it going? I'm R. Felix Finch, the broke law student. You can call me Robin. And yeah, here I am at Emory Law, where I ended up going to law school. And how do I catch up on this? I do not think I was prepared at all. This has just been a very different experience from anything I've ever done before. And I think I finally kind of understood at least things that worked for me in the final week of classes. So let's hope that that doesn't come back to bite me when finals come around. But anyway, I posted on Reddit and I posted on my Snapchat, finding out what you guys wanted to know. So I'm here to do a little bit of an AMA and throw in anything else I think would be worthwhile. Like I said, I can't tell you when decisions are coming. I don't know. I'm not privy to it. And even if I asked, admissions would not tell me. So that's up to Dr. Carmichael, to Giovanni, and to everybody who is in the admissions office. Have fun reading. This is a wild cycle. Let me get started with a really long answer, which is someone asked my general impressions on student life, career services, my favorite class and professor, and just how things have been as an older law student. Let's start with student life. Here at Emory Law, one of the nice things is they have a weekly recess where different groups get together and they will put together something out there with us, some libations and some snacks, and just a place to mingle, talk to other students. Occasionally other professors are out there as well, and just have some sort of weekly recreation guaranteed. That's real nice. I enjoy that. I will also say right now, a lot of the student groups, because they changed the way with the university, not the law school's fault, the university as a whole changed the way they do clubs and everything and activities. So there's some places that things are getting a little hazy about how the hell they actually function as clubs, to no fault of their own and no fault of the law schools. So hopefully that gets cleared up with the next season and they kind of understand what's going on. As far as favorite class though and favorite professor, that is easy. This isn't going to hurt any of my professors with me saying it. That easily goes to having Civ Pro with Dean Freer. I mean, how can I hate having the person who literally wrote the book on civil procedure for civil procedure? And if I ever don't get anything in his class, I can check out his short happy guide to civil procedure. He wrote a treatise on civil procedure. He does the Barbary 1L videos on civil procedure. I feel like I walk out of every class understanding civil procedure. The problem is this is on a curve. So even though I understand civil procedure, the other 99 people behind me in class, they also have a great understanding of civil procedure. So it'll be really interesting to see where that helps when the grades come around and the curves get set. But yes, Dean Freer, one thing I will say is, like, as both a dean and a professor, he seems like he is really passionate about us and really cares about us growing as attorneys and us just being the most successful students we can possibly be. And his genuine enthusiasm for what he does comes through, and that's always a great thing. Speaking of enthusiasm, Professor Simons, who I have for contracts, she's really enthusiastic about it. It's great. I thought she was going to be kind of a hard ass, but I ended up really enjoying her. Professor Price is a lot of fun for legislation and regulation. Always good to talk with her about some of the finer points. And Professor Volok for torts. Yeah, he's I like this because I have a huge issue with maybe talking too much and being too inquisitive. And because I sit in the front row, if he sees my hand going up or something and it's just not the time, or he isn't able to deal with it at the moment, he'll just shoot me a look that tells me internally, even though he never says this, "Shut up, Robin," which I need to be told to shut up from time to time. So I truly do appreciate that. And then with legal writing, again, it's a huge shift from the writing I've done before. So it's not my legal writing professor's problem. It's not her fault that I get very colloquial and a little more informal than I should. So, you know, no, nothing to criticize there, because most things just come from me coming from a totally different type of writing. As far as being less anonymous, because they did ask about me being a less anonymous student, that's mainly come up with the faculty more so than other students, as far as I know. I mean, yes, there's some people who know who I am because of my stuff on Reddit and because of my YouTube and because of my Snapchat and Instagram. Some of the people in communications would love to talk to me about it. Right now, one of the things the school is trying to figure out is how to deal with what they say is their first influencer class. There's a few people here who do a few different things, and they've got to make sure we don't violate any federal education rules, no FERPA violations. We need to, make sure we keep everybody else's confidentiality. Like what we put out there, that's on us, that's up to us. One of the things I know Career Services is getting concerned about is whether or not it takes away from our employability. Also, I just said whether or not. Dean Freer does always speak out against that, because it should just be whether, not whether or not, because that is redundant, repetitive, and says the same thing over and over again. But again, my public profile is going to be far less of an issue than my actual criminality when it comes to hiring, so yay! Again, that's also why I feel a little more comfortable doing this, communicating with you, the people, through this medium, because I've got bigger fish to fry than somebody knowing who I am before I even meet them. And as far as a older non-traditional student, let me be honest, it's interesting because it's a balancing act. I do not know. There's a lot of people here, and we have the largest class that Emory has admitted. I don't know if it's since COVID, just at least recently. We might be the biggest ever class, but we have about 400. We have 391 exactly in our class, and a lot of them are pretty young. There's a lot of KJDs. There's a lot of people who have like 1 or 2 gap years. I'd say the average person I meet is 26 or below. And, that's about the age of my baby sister, who I helped raise. So it's interesting trying to be colleagues at the same time with people that, I could have helped raise. And a lot of these people I know have far more professional experience than I do. They have far more experiences in law or in the legal workplace. I've been kind of again, as I put in one of my videos, a middle-aged waste of space. I've been doing DoorDash, Uber, acting, wrestling. I've been doing a lot of things that aren't exactly focused. And a lot of people here have the focus and have the drive that they've built up over the years. They have the discipline. And I think it's great for them. That means they had their shit together long before I did. And I commend them, and I hope that stays a constant in their lives. For me, though, the social aspect of, I'd love to hang out with some, but, I also don't want to be the creepy old guy. But simultaneously, the financial straits I put myself in before even getting here means that it means that, I have to kind of work more than half time. I have to work almost full time just to be able to survive in this first semester. Hopefully that changes next semester. But yeah, that's all the questions for Intention Simple, who's part of the UF 11 class of 28. So thank you very much. Let's move on. Next up, I have Physical Stage 1286, who asks, how hard is it to land New York City Big Law, assuming a solid resume and interviewing skills? As a 1L, I don't know. I haven't been hired for anything yet, but I will say that Emory, one of the reasons that I was attracted here is because they have a bigger New York contingent, despite not being anywhere in the Northeast. There are a lot of Emory programs for New York City. I think that's great. I hope to be able to take advantage of some of them, because I wouldn't mind returning to New York City. I love that city. It's the greatest city in the world. I do agree. But also at the same time, trying to maybe get a 1L in Texas or something, somewhere kind of warm. Like, yeah, along with Emory, Vanderbilt and University of Texas in Austin are the other two ones that have a lot of New York connections. So, if you do well, I've got to say, one of the things also comes down to how are your grades? How are you as a person? Are you employable? So all of those are factors. It's not just one thing that gets you big law, because there are people that go to Harvard and Yale that don't do big law. There are people that get straight A's that don't do big law. There's a lot to consider and so many factors. Some idiot on the internet isn't going to be able to tell you, especially when I'm in my first year of legal education. Oh yeah, from Chidori 611. How is cost of living in Atlanta, and how much is rent near Druid Hills or the surrounding area, which is where the school is, that indicator? And, it's a great question. I think it greatly depends on kind of how you do your housing situation. I got lucky. I was able to join in on a lease of a house. I call it Law House. There's 3 of us there, 2 3Ls and myself, and we all live there and, get along decently, try to keep the place from burning down. As far as things go, I will say my fuel efficiency in my car really dropped because I did not realize how many goddamn hills there were in Atlanta. Like, there are so many hills. Traffic is kind of a nightmare if you're trying to cross the city most times of the day. Parking is terrible. I went somewhere in downtown Decatur and it wanted $16 an hour to park. If there's a place you can get to MARTA, MARTA is the I think Metro Atlanta Transit or Regional Transit Authority. Yeah, I think it's Metropolitan Atlanta Regional Transit Authority. I'll put a correction here. And there, if you can park at one of their parking rides and ride to somewhere that you can get, it's great. If you need to go to the airport, being able to park for $8 a day at one of the MARTA buildings is awesome. I use that anytime I have to fly. Oh yeah, and a good number of the students who go here to Emory are in the graduate housing at Ridge anyway. So, it just kind of depends. It's like, what are you gonna do? Find a way. Life finds a way. Yeah, there was an alumni, Mothman 83. I'm assuming you're from West Virginia, that did say they did not miss the parking. They did not miss the parking situation here because yeah, a lot of us, especially the 1Ls, we do not get to park in the building that is right next to the school. We have to go park on another campus and take a shuttle here. That is annoying. Righteous Chick 22, great name, asked the vibe of my class, collegiate, older, do I go out socially? And again, I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of mid-20s and below in my class. At least it feels like that. I could be wrong. I don't have the exact numbers, and the numbers of ages weren't published along with our 1L profile. I'll leave a link to the 1L profile in the description for those who are curious. And as far as socially, I don't socialize with too many of my peers. I'd love to, but and many of us just don't have time. And because I don't live somewhere where there's a lot of other students, because a lot of people here, they are in social groups based on who they live with at the Ridge, or who, they are in the same apartment complexes with. I told you, I'm in Law House. That is what I do. And as they wanted to know also kind of like, is it gunner types? There's all types represented. And as far as conservative or liberal leaning faculty or peers, you're gonna get a mix. I mean, FedSoc is one of the best funded things, and we are in the South. At the same time, we're in Atlanta. So you're gonna find that blend of liberal and conservative, but I think that's true of any law school you go to, with the exception of maybe Liberty, Notre Dame, or BYU. And even then, you're still gonna find some people who got in there on scholarship and just, keep their opinions to themselves. But you're gonna have a mix. No matter where you're choosing your law school, as far as liberal or conservative, whatever you do believe, faith community, not, you're going to find people that align with you, and you're going to find people you disagree with. But that's also life. So, get ready for that. And yeah, like I said, I can't tell you when decisions go out, but let me jump over to Snapchat where I only had 2 questions. So Meep asked first, and Meep asks, do you think I should take a 45% scholarship for my dream school? much higher ranked, or an 80% scholarship from a lower ranked regional school. And they're curious about how and why I decided on Emory, and they're kind of torn in their decision. Well, Meep, let me tell you that you're just giving me percentages. If I don't know the numbers, I really can't tell you anything. 80% at like CUNY Law is going to be like a 45% scholarship at CUNY Law is still going to be a much lower price than like an 80% scholarship at Yale or Harvard. You're talking percentages, like it just comes down to numbers. One thing I'll say to you is something I kind of looked at when deciding was look at what like the median outcome is for the school and decide how that compares to the amount of money you're getting for the school or how much you'd have to spend to be there. Figure out like what can you afford to risk. This is a gambling game after all. None of us are guaranteed jobs, especially now with so many people applying to law school. Who knows? And one thing that, again, I chose Emory for several reasons. One, that it's in the South and there don't get snow here very often, and I'm not a big fan of the white frozen stuff. As much as I talk about wanting to return to New York, and as much as I wanted to like get into Minnesota or Michigan, there's not a lot of snow down here, and that makes my heart super happy, as Kylan would have said. There's a lot of connections to New York here from Emory as well. I have a little bit of family in Atlanta. Oh, shit, I should. Sorry, you just reminded me that it's about to be Thanksgiving. I should probably contact my Aunt Evelyn and find out what she's doing Thursday. She probably wants to see me. So, yeah, let me make sure I contact her because I have been a very bad nephew and not seen her. As far as anything else, just I did like the vibe when I came here to Emory, and I'll be honest, it came down to Emory or the University of Nebraska, where I had a full ride. They told me something very interesting there was because I didn't get to go admitted student stay, but I did get to go on my own time. And Nebraska honestly told me, as much as we'd love to have you and we'd be happy to have you here, we don't think you'd be happy here just because talking to me, they determined that, I'm more of a city boy, and they didn't think that I'd thrive as much in an area where I wasn't as happy. So, I appreciate their honesty because their job is to, put asses in seats, and they were like, yeah, if you don't want to be in the middle of nowhere, maybe this isn't for you. So I appreciated that. And me, good luck with your decision. I mean, it's tough, because you can only choose law school once for the most part. There's a little exception, which I'm about to get to with the next question. But yeah, if you have anybody else that is helpful, talk to them. You don't know me. I'm a random dude on the internet. Talk to people you actually care about and love. This next question comes from Patrick Riley, and they say, I remember watching your decision video and it was fantastic. My question would be, if you got really good grades during your first year, would you try to transfer or would you stick with Emory? And I think that's a great question. And if I'm completely honest with myself, let's just say I end up in the top 10% of my class. Because looking at some of the years at Emory, it seems like there's about a 10% transfer rate from earlier years. But so let's just say I end up in the top 10%. And Emory transfers have gone on to some very successful schools. We're talking Harvard, we're talking Columbia, we're talking NYU. Would I try to transfer? And the honest answer is, yeah, I would, but not because I hold anything against Emory. I just would because, and I think this is one of the reasons Emory accepted me, is that I'm the kind of person who I would hate living with the knowledge that I didn't even try. Whether I'd get into a different place is a different story, Maybe I wouldn't. I was lucky to get into Emory. You saw my video. I put in 50 applications. I received 5 callbacks and a couple wait lists, but about a 10% about a 10%, application to return with my numbers was, not the finest. But I can say that if I graduate here from Emory, I am not going to be unhappy with that. I feel like there is a lot I can do here. There are some awesome programs. One of the things I'm a huge fan of is the Emory Law Supreme Court the Emory Law Student Supreme Court Advocacy Program. It's amazing. It's really effing cool that I have an opportunity to do things with Supreme Court amici briefs and talking about splits without having to go to AT14. This is a great location. The Atlanta market is growing. If you like Florida, there's pretty easy access to Florida. There's a lot that's very cool about Emory. One of the things that still gives me hesitation is that this is a private university, and I am a product of public education throughout. But right now I'm just going to focus on getting the best damn grades I can, of putting the strongest applications out that I can, of being the best law student that I can be. And again, I feel like I didn't learn how to do that until about a week ago, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully I can turn myself around and be outstanding next semester. And if I somehow do well enough to put myself in the position where I could even consider transfer, then I'll attack that when I come to it. But remember, everybody you get into law school with is brilliant. We all got here for some reason and somehow, and we all worked our asses off to get here. I don't think there's really a lot of nepotism going on these days with getting into school, but once you get here, you have to do the work. And I can look behind me and see 99 other people that, again, like I said, have had their shit together at a young age, far earlier than I ever have, that have their lives ahead of them, that haven't made the mistakes I've made, that haven't burnt the bridges I've burned, they're in a great position to do great things. And I'm lucky to be among them. This video is going really long, so I'll give you a more proper update sometime soon. Thank you for indulging me. And if you want to follow me, check me out, The Broke Law Student, everywhere. That's The Broke Law Student on Instagram, The Broke Law Student on TikTok, The Broke Law Student on Blue Sky whenever I get around to using that. And maybe I'll actually make brokelawstudent.com go to some kind of a Patreon, because they told me I had to take down my GoFundMe for reasons of not looking bad during hiring season. But also find me on LinkedIn, Robin Felix Finch. Anyway, peace out, party peoples. I love you. Have a wonderful day. I need to go home and sleep because you know what? It's actually like 10 p.m. here. That's darkness outside. Why am I at school this late? Bye.